Hello guys, welcome to my channel. I am Tori Lynn. Let's blossom today. I am so ready for fall. I am feeling fall. I know fall is a couple weeks away, but I don't even care. I want to do a fun fall makeup look. I didn't realize how crazy my hair actually looks, but I'm just going to ignore that. I'm going to start with skin, I think, because skin's typically what I start with first. So I've already prepped my skin and got it ready to go. I started with the Dr. Dennis Gross Alpha Beta Pore Perfecting Serum. And then I went in with the Grace and Stella Say Hi to Hydration Hyaluronic Acid Serum. Now I'm going to grab some primer. Typically for fall, I don't usually think of like dewy, glowy looks, but you want to stay moisturized because it can get kind of drying on your skin. The cold weather can be kind of drying. So I'm going to use the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Primer. And we do have to be careful with this stuff. It does kind of separate in the bottle. So I have to take a few pumps on my hands and then really work it together and then work it onto the skin. I'm really feeling the fall vibes. I made soup for lunch and the weather's a little bit cooler. And of course I've got all my fall decorations up. So I'm ready for fall. I'm feeling fall. So although it's a little early, I'm gonna do some fall makeup. I recently purchased another one of my absolute favorite foundations. So we're gonna use it today, even though I know I used it in my last makeup video. This is the It Cosmetics CC Cream. This foundation is flawless and phenomenal. It's got such good coverage. I don't ever think I could say enough great things about this foundation because honestly it's amazing and you need so little of it to cover so much. I'm just going to take my beauty sponge and work out the foundation. I don't like this foundation with a brush as much. I feel like the beauty sponge does a really good job of laying down this nice flawless base. And it doesn't really absorb the foundation. But I feel like when I use it with a brush, I have to use more foundation. Like the brush just absorbs it. And I don't love that. And I feel like it looks more airbrushed with the sponge. So you may have a different opinion. But that's how I prefer to use this foundation. I used to pretty much use a brush with all of my foundations. And then I tried this foundation. And I haven't ever really gone back to using a brush. I use one for certain occasions, special things. But on the day-to-day, I always use just a sponge to apply it. It just looks so good. It may be a hair light for me because I had done a lot of tanning in the beginning of the summer. I'm not really tanning anymore, but with the setting it and bronzer and stuff, it ends up looking okay. Obviously, my skin will continue to get lighter as I no longer tan. So for concealer, I have been loving a combination of two concealers, if I can find the second one. I've been loving this combination, and I have actually used it in quite a few of my last videos, and that's just because it's been like my go-to combination. I've been loving the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Eraser in the shade Light, I believe. Yes, Light. I usually use that to highlight my whole face, and then I go in just on the inner corner right under the eye with the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Concealer, just to really give that under eye a little bit of brightness. Also went ahead and popped a little bit of that concealer on the cupid's bow, the tip of my nose, and then right in the bridge of my nose between my eyes. When I'm using my beauty sponge, I use the pointier end, and I just get right up under those eyes, and I start in that inner corner and then bring that brighter concealer out, and then I kind of just blend it down from there. And then I always kind of bring it around the lids because I use that as my eyeshadow primer or base because I don't put an eyeshadow primer on. And then I move to the outer areas of the face. So then I move to the nose and up the forehead and really focusing on blending out the lighter concealer in those two areas. And then I usually bring it down onto the upper lip and then down around the mouth just to brighten up those darker areas. Then as soon as I finish blending out that concealer, I bake because I don't want that foundation and concealer to start settling into those creases under my eyes. To bake today, I'm going to use my Coty Translucent Airspun Powder I absolutely love this setting powder. I've been using it for years and I like it because you can bake with it, you can set your whole face with it. It's just a very versatile setting powder and it's so cheap. You can buy it at like Walgreens or Walmart for like $6 or $7 versus like one of my other setting powders I have, the Anastasia Beverly Hills loose setting powder, and it's like $20 or $30 for one of those. The other great thing about the Coty powders is that I buy mine in the shade Translucent Extra Coverage. So they have translucent, they have translucent extra coverage, and then they also have different shades. So if you are darker skin toned, they have darker shades. Usually while I'm baking, I like to throw on my brows, and I have been loving the e.l.f. Instant Lift Brow Pencil. I use the shade Taupe. I'm gonna go ahead and throw my brows on and I will be right back. Now let's go ahead and move into the eyes. Another product I've used recently on my channel. I bought this palette back last spring and I realized I really haven't used it a whole lot. I feel like I have so many palettes now that I kind of forget about palettes and quit using them. I decided I want to use it today. This is the Warrior 2 palette by Juvia's Place. I just think it has a really pretty fall vibe to it with the orange and the red and the dark warm colors. So I'm going to start by setting the whole lid with the shade called Zaz. It is the white creamy shade there in the palette. It's a nice matte white. So I'm going to buff out the creases on the lid where that concealer and stuff is settled. And I'm going to set the whole lid from the lash line all the way up to that brow. And I'm just using a nice flat packing brush. It gives you the most coverage, area coverage, the most real estate on the lid, which makes it faster and easier to set. So kind of like when you set your skin, you want to use a big fluffy brush because it covers more area and sets the product down the way you want. That's kind of how this goes. You want a nice big brush to cover more lid space, and it's got a nice dense texture, so it'll really press that powder into the concealer or the primer, whatever you've used. Now I'm going to start kind of backwards. We're going to start dark and work our way lighter. So I'm going to start with the darkest shade in the palette called, I don't even know, I'm terrible with names. So I'm going to go on with the black shade up here in the palette. And I'm going to start by pressing that along the lash line. This, we're going to kind of smoke it out as we go, blend things out. And I'm going to start in the center and then work my way kind of out to the outer corner and then in towards the inner corner. And I am making sure to bring it all the way to the inner corner and then just kind of smoking it out just a little bit. I don't want to take it up too high because we'll work on smoking it out in a few minutes with the next shade, but just giving it a little bit of feathering to that top edge of it. Actually, it's a little thicker than I was planning, but that's a-okay. Should work out fine in the end. So again, doing the other eye, I'm going to press it down right in the center and then work my way out to the outer corner and then to the inner corner. Honestly, with this, probably the less shadow on your brush, the better. And I forgot to mention, I am using a really tiny detail brush. This is kind of a flat brush, if you can see from the side there. It's a little bit more flat and then it's a little wider. If you had one with a straight edge, that would work really well too. This brush is an R&L brush and the style is a Balm 18 detail brush. Next, I want to go in with the red shade in the palette, and I'm going to take kind of a larger, fluffier packing brush. It's pretty big compared to the other one. I'm going to make sure to tap off a lot of excess with these shades, especially because they're dark. We don't want too much excess falling out because we've already done our skin. And then I'm going to start packing that on the lid right over top of that black shade. You can see immediately it has started to kind of blend out that darker shadow. That black we put down is already being softened so much just from that little bit we've done already. And so I'm going to pack it right on the lid itself, like right up to the crease. I'm not going to really go above the crease too much. Next, I'm going to go into the orange shade in the palette on a nice fluffy brush, one that's going to be good for blending. And I'm just going to start blending out that outer edge of the red. Basically kind of setting this in my socket in that crease space and blending out the red shade. Now that I have that shadow really put in and blended out for it pretty well, I'm going to go one step farther and I'm going to take just a good blending brush. This one's just a really fluffy brush that I pretty much always use for blending. Just going to go and blend out the outer edge of the orange to really soften it up. And then I'm going to work my way into the darker shades. And I'm going to work all the way down and then kind of bring it back up into that crease a little bit. Lots of windshield wiper motions, back and forth, back and forth. A little bit of circling in certain spots. And then back and forth. And then I'm just going to back and forth it all the way down to that lash line. And then back and forth it up a little bit into the crease. But I'm not going to, when I go down and then bring it back up, I'm not going to bring it up into that outer orange because I don't want to darken that up. I just want to give everything a good blend. That's all I'm doing at this point. And then I am using in between the eyes and in between each down and back up. And then before I go all the way up and do it again, I'm using the Veramona color switch. This thing is absolutely awesome. You just rub your brush in it. And it cleans them up so easy. It takes out all the extra powder and product and just makes it a really clean and easy thing to use. So I'm not worrying about cross-contaminating the darker shadow into the lighter where I don't want it. This look, I'm wanting to keep it more vertical, if you will. I don't want to drag it out more cat eye. I want to keep it more vertical. So I'm just doing the windshield wiper and then only doing circles where I really feel like intense blending needs to be done. Sticking with that orange shade, I'm going to use a brush that is very, very similar to the very first brush I used. A small detailing brush, one that's flat from the side and then has a nice wide face at the top. And this one has a slight arch to it as well. It is not a straight lined brush. I'm going to dip into that orange. And then I'm going to smoke out that lower lash line. And I'm not going to go real heavy with it. This is not a crazy smoke out. This is just to add a little something to the lower lash line. So it's going to be a little bit wider right on this outer corner. And then keeping it fairly wide to the center. And then I'm going to bring it in a little bit tighter the closer it gets to the inner corner. Now I'm going to go ahead and set that palette aside. And I think I'm going to move into the skin now because my skin is done baking. And we're done really with the shadow aside from like an inner corner highlight. And we'll get to that later, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and take just a big fluffy blending brush. This is just a Real Techniques 201 brush. I'm just going to sweep away any of the excess baking. I'm going to use the same brush for setting my skin. To me, the fall is more like a velvety, flawless, matte skin with a little bit of highlight. So I'm going to be using the Burt's Bees mattifying powder in the shade 1115 Sand. And then I'm just going to really set down that skin. Now I'm going to go ahead and bronze up, and because I need a fairly strong bronzer to kind of warm up the skin a little bit, to darken it just a little bit, I'm going to use my Hoola bronzer from Benefit. This bronzer has a really good coverage to it. It's pretty warm, and I don't know, this is one of my favorite bronzers. I've been using this bronzer forever. I'm just going to take an Aesthetica P12 brush. It's just a really nice fluffy brush, but it's not too overwhelmingly big like the last one I used to set with. I just think it gives the bronzer a nice blend outwards. I have a smaller forehead, so I used to like never really bronze up my forehead. Now I'm kind of like obsessed with bronzing my forehead. And I'm going to do a little on the chin as well, on that jawline, to darken it up some. This will kind of blend it into the neck as well as give it a little more of a shadowed effect, which if you're like me, kind of blends in the double chin. It darkens it just a little bit, but it also will help blend that color down into the neckline if the foundation is a little too light. I think this look calls for a very nude blush, so I'm going to use the Tarte Amazonian Clay Blush in the shade Risque. And today I'm going to be using a crown brush. This is just a nice, really dense, round brush. I think it puts blush on beautifully as long as you make sure to tap off your blush. If you go into the blush and you don't tap off the excess, there's a hair on my brush, it can put it down really intense. But as long as you tap off that excess, you should be okay. And I'm just going to start by putting it on the apples of the cheeks and then feathering it up the cheekbone. I just realized I forgot to contour my nose, but I'm also going to throw just a little bit of this right on the bridge of the nose there. The areas that I highlighted with the lighter concealer, the tip and then the bridge between the eyes, I'm not going to put any blush on, but that bridge in between where I tend to actually kind of have a little bit of a bump there, that's where I'm going to put the blush. And because I forgot to contour my nose, we're going to go ahead and jump back into that bronzer. And my absolute favorite contour brush for my nose is actually an Anastasia Beverly Hills Shadow brush. It's just a really fluffy, it came in one of their palettes, so it's a double-headed brush, but I only use the fluffy end. You could use the other end for a more precise look. I don't go for a really intense, precise contour. I just like to go right up down along the side of the nose and then up that arch right into the socket of the eye and up to meet the brow. And then I'm going to do kind of the edges of the nose, right along the tip, just that underside that's going to be kind of shadowed. Super simple. I don't get too carried away with my bronzing. My camera died, so while it was charging enough to come back on, I threw on some lashes. These are just the Kiss Russian Volume lashes. I kind of love these lashes a lot. They're very pretty. Bought a couple pairs recently and I just really like them. I also threw some NARS Climax mascara on before I threw on my lashes. So let's go ahead and finish off the skin with a highlight. I love this highlight. It's so stunning and it has kind of a slightly goldy champagne hue, which I think will be perfect for this look. This is the ColourPop's Flexitarian. This highlight is stunning. I've talked about this before where I feel like it needs a more dense brush. My favorite highlight brush is my Jumbo Kabuki Fan from Crown, but for some reason I feel like it doesn't work as well with this highlight. This highlight needs a more dense, smaller brush to really give me the look I like. I'm just gonna highlight those cheekbones and just really kind of blend it out. I want it to, oh my god, she is beaming. Like, this is what I'm talking about. This highlight is stunning. And I'm gonna do some above the brow and then on the cupid's bow and then very gingerly on the end of the nose. And I say gingerly because I'm kind of a oily person and I don't want to get too crazy. And then a little bit on that spot, the arch of the nose between the two brows there. Oh, that is gorgeous. Looking in the viewfinder, I feel like I look pretty monochromatic right in this area because my lips, like, I need my lips done stat. In person it looks a little less monochromatic, but anyway, so let's go ahead and set the face down. I'm going to be using let's see, I got the Believe Beauty Makeup Perfecting Setting Mist. If you have a mattifying one, that would be ideal for this look. I don't have one on hand at the moment, so I'm just going to use this. Hold up. Inner corner highlight, y'all. You can either use your Flexitarian because that is a stunning highlight, even on the inner corner. But I'm going to be using, this is the Too Faced Hot Buttered Rum palette. Really like this palette. This, I think, came out last year. I'm going to be using the white shimmery shade called Vanilla, no, what is it called? Whipped Cream. And I'm just going to use a little packing brush. This brush I've had forever and it's not actually angled, it's just so old that it's starting to have like an angle to it. This is the brush I pretty much use for all of my inner corner highlights, no matter what shade I'm using. I'm gonna throw a little bit on the brow bone. And I like to take a chunky, dense brush. I don't know why I do it, but I do it. I make sure it's clean with my color switch, and then I just take it and I kind of lightly blend between the highlight and the shadow, just to make sure it's all blended together. I don't like that stark line between the two where it looks like you layered them on top. I want everything to just blend so beautifully. Now let's go ahead and spray our face down. I'm going to use that setting spray I was talking about. Now let's go ahead and move into the lips. I'm going to start with the KVD liquid lipstick in the shade Bow and Arrow. It's a really dark, pretty shade. So I want to add a little dimension into that lip just to brighten it up a little bit. I'm going to take the ColourPop liquid lip in the shade Strip. This color has been used a lot, so it doesn't have any labeling on it other than the end where it says Strip, but I know it's a ColourPop. And I'm going to use that right on the inside of the lower lip, and then I'm going to kind of blend it into the upper lip by rubbing my lips together. I love that lip combo. I was going between using that and Baby Doll from the NYX Lip Lingerie collection. And actually, you know what? Let's just get crazy with and add just a dab right in that center there, so just give it even a little more ombre brightness to it. Wow, this look is so fall. This lip color, I love that lip combo. To me, it just screams cozy fall, hot cocoa, cozy sweaters, crisp, cool weather. Like, that is what this lip says to me. Like, it just screams fall, along with this really fun orangey red smoky eye. I am in love with this look. Since quarantine and COVID has really been taking over our lives, I quit really doing a whole lot of eye makeup. I quit pretty much doing a lot of makeup in general. Doing this look got me, one, excited for fall makeup, and two, has kind of got me excited for wearing eyeshadow again. Like, this could become potentially an everyday fall makeup look. Like, it's not too dark, but it's dark enough to give off that fun, cozy fall feel to it. Let me know what you guys think about this look. I am obsessed with it. I absolutely love it. I think it's gorgeous. It's stunning. That highlight is popping though. I really felt like this area right in here looked really funky. And then putting that lip on, it just tied the whole thing together like that. Now I feel like I need to go throw on a cozy sweater and enjoy my fake fall, because it's really not fall yet, but I'm here for fall. I'm ready for it. But let me know what you guys think about this look. I'm just obsessed with it, honestly. A lot of times after these videos, I don't go anywhere and I probably take my makeup off, but today I'm going to wear, even though I have nowhere to go, I'm going to be wearing it for the rest of the day because it's gorgeous. So I love it. I'm so happy with how it turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you enjoyed this video, then please give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. I always am putting out different makeup looks, usually geared toward the season that we're in or trends that are super popular right now. And then I also do a lot of lifestyle videos. I do vlogs, I do shopping hauls, I do all kinds of stuff on my channel. I like to have a very fun, warm, welcoming channel. So if you're into any of that stuff, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.